Hello, my name is Yue. Welcome to my CPS Folio reflection video. Week 1 Observation. In response to the theme of observation, I observed this sculpture in NGV. I noticed a spotlight deliberately placed above it as a light source, and after looking at it for a long time, I could see the blurry shadows that gave the sculpture weight. I wanted to ignore the material of the sculpture and capture the sense of weight. I made a drawing of study of light and shadow using selection and fill tools on Procreate. By filling out the shadow parts of the object, I showed that the sense of form created through depicting the shape of lighting. Week 2 Tinkering. In response to the theme of tinkering, I made 3 pieces of painting using watercolor. By tinkering with methods like smudging, masking, wet on dry, and dry on wet, adding salt and alcohol, and painting with dry brushes, I try to represent the hairiness, silhouette, texture, whiskers of the cat, water surface, and reflections I aim to depict. Similar work has been done in my own practice in sculpture elective of my second year of uni. I explore the theme of tinkering with a bouquet sculpture made by welding in terms of experimenting with materials in different ways in the studio and discovering their properties. For example, dripping molten tin into water at different heights, pounding different materials of metal, finding scraps with interesting shapes on the floor, etc., which let me make many different plants based on the characteristics of these materials. I found that instead of setting the goal of the plant that I want to make, taking experiment and play with the random outcome is a lot more interesting and helpful. Week 3 Found Object. In response to the theme of found object, I present a series of Chinese calligraphy on a booklet using markers and brushes pens. By choosing to make my art on an industrial created object, eliminating the original practical functions which are to read and communicate, write calligraphy vertically on top of the original print, therefore changes the angle and context in which the object would have been viewed. I show the idea that art can be created on any medium. Similar work has been produced by Marcel Duchamp, whose work Fountain explores a found object by choosing an existing mass-produced and unattractive item, a urinal, turning it upside down and named it Fountain, therefore removing its actual function and change the angle and the context in which the object is really viewed, turning it into a work of art, demonstrate that an industrial-made object can be seen as a sculpture, that the ideas takes precedence over the medium. Week 4 Place. In response to the theme of place, I produced a conceptual sketch of the scene where a drunken warrior and a moth mage found a sleeping cat in the grass using Procreate on iPad. By changing the ratio of the character to the environment, I change the way the character interacts with the plants. This also influenced my character design because at the beginning I want to design an ordinary female character, but then it occurred to me that I could design her as a bug avatar to make it more interesting, as they are both shrunken in size. I show that place can heavily influence the design of characters and their motivations, as well as the dilemmas and the challenges built around them. Similar work has been produced by Supergiant Games, whose work Hades explores place by integrating the game design with a background story. There have been videos of Greek mythology experts in Japan commenting how game restored the ancient Greek mythology, that the background story of the game is Zagreus, the son of Hades, who tries to escape from hell in search of his mother on Earth again and again. The game adopted this rigorous methodology that, unlike most Greek myths, the soul of the dead can be reborn after death. The gods of Olympus would help Zagreus along the way, but when Zagreus chooses one of their abilities, he will attract the jealousy of others and be punished. And as Zagreus belongs to the underworld, after being killed or reached to the ground, he will turn into blood and flow back to the hell for reborn. This design based on place heavily influenced the design and made the game mechanics self-explanatory, logical, and attractive. Week 5. Object-Oriented Ontology. In response to the theme of object-oriented ontology, I produced a digital painting of piano with many plants growing out of it using Procreate on iPad. By connecting the piano and plants and making it independent from human perception, I showed that the piano can be meaningful, not only being a musical instrument to be played. Although there is no presence of human playing, however, the flourishing, diverse plants blooming out of it seems to visually represent the creation of music. I wanted to show that piano, music, and plants in this drawing can coexist on an equal footing with another when human sensibility is taken away. Similar work has been produced by Studio Ghibli, whose work Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind in 1984 explores an object-oriented ontology that, in the setting of the story, the ecological environment has been destroyed by technological development. Most of the land where humans live is occupied by fungus and giant insects only. These fungus and insects can spread spores that are deadly for humans. In order to survive, people choose to burn all the spore-infected forests and instinctively kill the humans, thus falling into a vicious circle. Until the end of the story, people realize that the fungus is actually purifying the land polluted by humans, and the humans were the guardian of the fungus. The film takes the relationship between humans and nature as a starting point, showing how human instinctive bias can cause hazard, provoking deeper thinking on anthropocentrism. The work that I enjoy in the production process the most and found the most interesting is the week 4 conceptual sketch. During that week, I explored place. I tried to design characters and stories by setting up some basic settings and using that as a basis. I started conceptualizing with a scene where a miniature warrior pokes through the grass and finds a sleeping cat. Cats that are normally harmless or cute to humans can be dangerous and deadly at this point. I wanted to illustrate the drama of this scene and the tension of not waking up the cat while reaching the destination. At this point, the second week's theme of tinkering came in. I thought it would be a good idea to add a female character behind the warrior as his companion as well as a protector. Then I started to ask myself questions. Are they the only ones shrunken? I don't know the answer, but I think the audience may have different feeling and conclusion when they see this illustration. Then I thought I could design her as a bug incarnation with moth wings growing out as her hair. Immediately, a more interesting choices emerged. Is the warrior her retainer, or this mouse myth is finding a way to help the warrior back to the normal size? That the people in this world are all miniatures and have different races? Are they cameras in arms? Or is the warrior exploring alone while the moth fury creeps up behind him? I found that each question determined their next move and the direction of the story differently. But I decided not to show it all in this episode, but to leave it open as it would generate more imagination. I think I should pay more attention into the environment and worldview in future designs, not to design with what the character looks like, but to conceptualize some of the moments and tinkering, manipulating the settings that will greatly affect how the story goes and may form an unexpected and interesting outcome.